For fashion student Chelsea Gray's fall-winter collection, Vanguard, she challenged herself to build a layered collection of protective clothing to raise awareness of issues of colorism and police brutality and to create a new sector of fashion, protest fashion. The collection began by paying tribute to Trayvon Martin and grew with the focus of rebelling against injustice. Chelsea believes that this is important because it is common for Americans to accept issues of injustice when they are not directly affected by them. One of the most difficult challenges Chelsea faced when making the collection was the difficulty in promoting activism with clothing that doesn't have direct messaging. The issues Chelsea focused on are controversial. Chelsea first had to understand that everyone wasn't going to agree with her message or the way it was displayed. Fortunately, she had directors to support her creativity and her activism. Once she accepted that she did not need to change her message if others disagreed with it, she was able to push herself to new creative levels because she was no longer worried about the opinions of others. Chelsea began her visual research with images of Trayvon Martin. From there, she began to look at more examples of injustice and specifically police brutality. She began collecting images of areas of the body affected by physical violence, such as images of bruised ribs and black eyes. Fabric that has textural, stretchy elements was used to create surfaces that elicit mental and emotional effects connected to police brutality and a sense of being in danger. This process of visual research led her to the idea of making protective clothing to protect the areas of the body most affected by physical violence. Chelsea used this research to strategically place knife-proof fabric in areas that require the most protection, namely the neck and chest area and in the lining of coats and aprons. Brown paper bags became a focal point in her project as brown paper bags play a large role in the history of colorism in the United States. The brown paper bag test was a way of denying privilege and access to anyone with skin darker than a brown paper bag, while giving greater privilege to African Americans whose skin was lighter than the paper bag. This worked to promote the idea that the lighter someone's skin is, the better they are and the more opportunities they should receive. Unfortunately, colorism still plays a role in society today. Starting with the material of the brown paper bag, Chelsea draped them over figures and sewed them into different arrangements to create manipulations. She then documented these manipulations in her sketchbook. The influence of the brown paper bags can be seen in the final garments as box and bag elements. These had a large impact on the silhouettes and proportions. Chelsea also experimented with draping tactical vests, military uniforms, socks, and thermals on dress forms and documented them with photographs. She then added those images to her sketchbook and extracted those shapes to create new silhouettes and proportions in her designs. The fabrics used in this collection were carefully selected, as the main goal of this project was to create clothing that protects its wearer. Chelsea selected wool fabrics, waterproof nylon fabrics, and knife-proof fabrics as the most appropriate to her vision, the season, and the shapes she wanted to create. The knife-proof fabrics came from a company in the United Kingdom, and the rest of the fabrics were sourced from Britex and Mood LA. One of Chelsea's goals with the collection was to show strength and to have a military feel, so she based the colors on a military helicopter. The design details can be found in the protective elements of the garments. These details were influenced by the military clothing and tactical vests Chelsea discovered in Army surplus stores. For this project, Chelsea created different textures through manipulation of the fabrics. She used ruching and smocking to create a bubble-like texture, similar to that of a grenade. This collection is designed for protection and for protest. It was designed for people who are targeted by the police and put into life-threatening situations due to their race, religion, gender, and sexuality. The mood of the collection reflects the serious issues that the collection addresses. This is shown by using layering techniques, using knife-proof fabric, as well as the use of shades of green, gray, tan, and blue in the color story. Draping on the mannequin and making 3D samples and fabric manipulations helped Chelsea to create the final designs and bring her work to life. This development method also helped when creating the actual garments. Because the trial and error process of the manipulations in the early design stages informed Chelsea as to the possibilities of the fabrics and materials used. Because of the Vanguard project, Chelsea Grays was nominated for the Geoffrey Bean CFDA Scholarship Award. One of Chelsea's goals with this project was to create a connection between her designs, inspiration, 3D manipulations, and final garments that had been absent from her previous work. Chelsea Grays is extremely proud to have created an entire collection that is unified in its message.